You see the planes, you see the crowds, you see the money, thousands of passengers daily, each one spending freely. Food, shops, and parking, it never seems empty, it never seems slow. It runs every hour, it runs every day. You think pure profit, you think money printer, you think obvious winner. Welcome to the illusion, welcome to Warren's portfolio. Here is the truth. Most airports lose money, not sometimes, but regularly. The ones that profit do not profit from planes. They profit from everything else. And today, I reveal every single hidden layer. The layer no one ever shows the public. Stay until the end because the last reveal will completely reframe everything you ever thought about how businesses actually operate. The airport is not a transportation business at all. It is a real estate and retail empire disguised as a transportation hub. And the ones who actually understand this model are printing money quietly, while everyone else struggles. The airline industry lost over $200 billion between 2020 and 2021. Airlines went totally bankrupt, but airports mostly survived. Why did that happen? Same industry, same crisis, completely different financial outcomes. That question is everything. That question is today. The global airport industry generates over $180 billion in annual revenue today. That number sounds incredible, but here's the thing. Building a major airport costs between $1 billion and $35 billion. Operating costs are enormous, government regulations are crushing, and your primary customer, the airlines themselves, are notoriously brutal negotiators who will squeeze every dollar out of your margins. So how does anyone make serious money here? The answer will surprise you, and the answer involves understanding what airports actually sell. It's not runways, it's not gates, it's not security. The real product is captive human attention and desperate consumer spending behavior. That is the game, and today we play it. Let us start with the actual startup cost, not the brochure number, the real honest number. To build a small regional airport from scratch, you need land first. Airports need enormous land. A small regional airport needs at minimum 1,500 acres. A major hub airport like Dallas-Fort Worth sits on 17,000 acres. Land alone at even $10,000 per acre on 5,000 acres minimum, that is $50 million just for empty land before one runway poured, before one terminal built. Then the runways themselves. One commercial runway costs between $30 and $100 million, depending on length and specifications required by FAA. A functional airport needs at minimum 2 runways, that is $60 to $200 million just runways. Then the terminal building. A small terminal costs between $100 and $500 million. A major terminal like the new LaGuardia terminal costs over $4 billion for one terminal building. Then the infrastructure underneath. Fuel systems underground cost $50 to $100 million. Electrical systems and power another $30 to $80 million. Baggage handling systems cost $40 to $150 million. Control tower construction cost $15 to $30 million. Security infrastructure and systems another $50 to $200 million. Taxiways and aprons cost $100 to $300 million. Parking structures and roads another $100 to $500 million. Then the regulatory costs. FAA certification process alone can take 3 to 7 years, during which you spend money but earn nothing. Environmental impact assessments cost $20 to $50 million. Noise mitigation requirements add another $50 to $200 million. Pre-opening staff training and hiring costs add $30 to $80 million. Operating capital reserve needed minimum 18 months operating. That is another $200 million. Add everything together now, small regional airport total approximately $800 million minimum. Medium commercial airport total between $2 and $8 billion. Major hub airport total between $10 and $35 billion. And here is the most important point today. Almost no airport is built with private money. Virtually every major airport in the United States is owned by government. Cities, counties, and states own the vast majority. Private operators lease them or manage them under long-term concession agreements. This changes everything about how you make money from airport ownership today. Now the real math. The numbers nobody shows. Let us use a medium-sized commercial airport handling 10 million passengers annually as our example. Revenue source number 1. Aeronautical revenue from airlines. Airlines pay landing fees, typically $3 to $8 per 1,000 pounds of aircraft weight on landing. A Boeing 737 weighs about 175,000 pounds landing, so landing fee equals $525 to $1,400 per flight landing. At 150 flights daily, that is $78,000 to $210,000 per day. Annually, that is $28 million to $77 million. That sounds like great revenue, right? But wait, airlines also pay gate fees, typically $500 to $2,000 per gate per day. If airport has 40 gates, that is another $7 to $29 million annually in gates. Terminal rent from airlines adds another $15 to $40 million annually total. Total aeronautical revenue for our 10 million passenger airport, approximately $50 to $146 million. Now subtract operating costs. Staff salaries for an airport this size require between 800 and 2,000 employees. Average fully loaded costs, including benefits and taxes, around $70,000 per employee. On 1,500 employees, that is $105 million in labor alone. Then utilities and maintenance. Airports run 24 hours. Lighting, heating, cooling costs for a terminal this size run $20 to $40 million annually just in utilities. Runway maintenance and repair adds $15 to $30 million. Security contract costs add $30 to $60 million. Insurance on a major infrastructure asset this size costs $10 to $25 million. Debt service on construction, if airport financed with bonds, at $3 billion construction cost, annual debt service runs approximately $150 to $200 million. Added all together, total annual operating costs for our example airport, approximately $330 to $460 million. But we only counted $50 to $146 million in aeronautical revenue. The math is catastrophic. Pure aeronautical revenue alone cannot support airport operations, not even close today. This is why most airports appear to lose money when you only look at the aviation side. But here's a critical information nobody mentions. We only counted half the revenue story today. The other half is where the real genius of airport economics lives. And that is next. Here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. Today, the non-aeronautical revenue is where airports print actual, serious, real money. Let us start with the most obvious one: retail and food concessions. Every restaurant, every store, every coffee shop inside your airport pays rents and revenue share to the airport operator directly. Industry standard concession agreement requires minimum guaranteed rent plus 10 to 15% of all gross revenue. A major airport Starbucks might generate $3 to $5 million annually. The airport takes $600,000 to $750,000 of that for doing absolutely nothing, just owning the space. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport has over 200 retail and food concession outlets, generating over $600 million in annual concession revenue. The airport keeps approximately 15% of that. That's $90 million just from shops and food. Then comes parking revenue. This is the hidden gold mine that nobody discusses. Heathrow Airport in London generates over £600 million annually from parking. From parking alone, people. O'Hare Airport in Chicago generates over $150 million annually just from parking, at $30 to $80 per day per car, with 20,000 to 50,000 parking spaces available daily. The math is extraordinary. Then comes car rental. Car rental companies pay massive concession fees to operate on airport property. A major airport generates $50 to $200 million annually from car rental concession fees alone today. Then hotel revenue follows. Many airports own or receive fees from hotels built on airport property or directly connected to the terminal buildings themselves. Then advertising revenue comes. Every billboard, every screen, every digital display inside the terminal pays fees. Major airports generate $30 to $100 million annually just from advertising alone. Then real estate development. This is the biggest long-term wealth creator of all airport businesses. Airports sit on thousands of acres of land that can be developed for logistics warehouses, hotels, office buildings, retail, and light industrial parks. Singapore Changi Airport generates enormous revenue from its Jewel commercial complex alone. The Jewel is essentially a giant mall attached to the terminal building, generating hundreds of millions annually in non-aviation revenue. Total non-aeronautical revenue for a well-run airport can be 2 to 4 times the aeronautical revenue total. This completely changes everything about the airport economics. Now, the dark side. The risks that destroy even perfectly positioned airports. Risk number 1 first. Airline concentration risk kills. If your airport depends on one dominant airline, you are completely vulnerable. When that airline goes bankrupt or shifts routes, your revenue collapses overnight. This happened to dozens of regional airports across America after deregulation happened. Risk number 2 follows. Competition from nearby airports. When a new airport opens 50 miles away, airlines immediately shift some traffic to cheaper options. Your landing fees drop, your gate utilization drops, and your retail traffic drops significantly with it. Risk number 3 arrives. Geopolitical and pandemic risk. COVID-19 proved definitively that airports can go from 100% capacity to 5% overnight. Most airports had fixed cost structures they could not reduce fast enough. Losses were catastrophic globally. Risk number 4 follows. Regulatory and political risk. Airports are among the most heavily regulated businesses in the entire economy. FAA can mandate expensive safety upgrades at any time. TSA requirements change constantly. Environmental rules add costs, noise ordinances limit operations, and local politics can block development projects that would generate significant revenue. Risk number 5 hits. Interest rate and debt. Most airports carry enormous long-term debt obligations. When interest rates rise, debt service costs explode. A 1% rise on $3 billion debt is $30 million more per year immediately added to already thin margins. Operating levers that work. Revenue diversification is critical. The best-run airports target 60% or more of total revenue from non-aeronautical sources consistently. This creates a buffer against airline revenue volatility. Passenger experience investment works. Airports that invest heavily in retail and dining experience dramatically higher per-passenger spending than competitors. Singapore Changi gets passengers spending $40 per person on retail and dining. Average U.S. airport gets $12 to $18. That gap is enormous and purely operational. Technology investment matters enormously. Automated check-in, smart parking, digital advertising systems all generate higher revenue per square foot than traditional approaches to airport management. Long-term anchor tenant strategy. Signing 10 to 20-year concession agreements with premium brands creates stable revenue that survives traffic fluctuations. These operational levers together can transform a losing airport into a profitable, revenue-generating real estate and hospitality business disguised as transportation infrastructure today. Now, how do investors actually make money exiting airport investments profitably today? Because in this business, the exit is everything. Option 1 is privatization. Governments increasingly sell or lease airports to private operators under long concession agreements of 30 to 99 years. The private operator pays an upfront concession fee to government in exchange for right to operate and collect all revenues for the duration of agreement. Heathrow Airport in London was fully privatized and sold to private investors now valued at over 14 billion British pounds. Paris Airport's privatization generated billions in government proceeds while creating enormously valuable private investment opportunities simultaneously. Option 2 is securitization. Airport revenue streams are extremely predictable and stable over long periods of time. This makes them ideal for securitization into bonds. Investors buy airport revenue bonds backed by future landing fees, parking fees, and concession revenue streams. The airport operator gets upfront capital today in exchange for future revenue. Option 3 is infrastructure investment fund model. Now, global infrastructure funds like Macquarie and Brookfield actively acquire airport concessions worldwide. They buy operating rights, implement operational improvements, and increase non-aeronautical revenue dramatically, then sell at 15 to 25 times EBITDA. The return multiples are extraordinary for well-positioned airports. Option 4 is REIT. Airport real estate can be structured as REIT. The terminal buildings, parking structures, hotels, and retail all qualify as REIT-eligible real estate assets. This allows tax-efficient distribution of airport income to thousands of small investors. Scalability in this business is fundamentally different from any other business discussed. You cannot easily replicate a successful airport model the way you can a restaurant or franchise. Each airport is unique. Location, traffic patterns, competition, all completely different variables. But management expertise scales globally very effectively indeed. Airport management companies like Fraport, Vinci Airports, and ADP manage dozens of airports across multiple continents. They earn management fees without owning the assets. Vinci Airports manages 65 airports across 12 countries. The management fee model scales with zero additional capital requirement whatsoever. Today, the path to wealth in airport investment runs through operational excellence first, then revenue diversification second, then exit at premium valuation multiples as third. That is the model. That is the ladder. Here is the verdict. Is owning an airport actually a good investment? The honest, complete answer depends entirely on which version of airport ownership you are actually pursuing. If you think airports make money from planes, you will lose money. The aeronautical revenue alone cannot sustain airport operations. Airlines are brutal negotiators. They will always push landing fees as low as physically possible today. But if you understand that a well-run airport is actually a captive consumer spending environment that happens to have planes, then the picture transforms completely and immediately. So the parking alone at a major airport generates more profit than most medium-sized retail businesses. The concession revenue alone from shops and restaurants generates more stable income than most hospitality businesses. The real estate development on surrounding airport land creates generational wealth that has nothing to do with aviation at all. The smartest airport operators do not think about moving people through space. They think about creating maximum revenue per square foot per hour from every inch of terminal, parking lot, and surrounding land they control daily. The people who fail in airport business always fall into one trap. They optimize for aviation and forget the retail. They count flights carefully and forget the parking. They manage the runways and forget the land. The people who win never forget the asset. They treat the airport as a real estate and retail platform that happens to need planes to bring their customers directly to them daily. The one metric now that I promised today, the metric that separates winners from losers, here it is. It's called NRPAX, non-aeronautical revenue per annual passenger total. If your NRPAX grows year over year consistently, you are winning the airport economics game completely. If your NRPAX stagnates while costs keep growing, you are slowly losing everything you built here. Singapore Changi NRPAX is among highest in world, exceeding $40 per annual passenger consistently today. Average U.S. airport NRPAX is around 15 to 20. That gap is the entire difference between an airport that creates generational wealth and one that barely covers its debt. Warren did not build an airport, obviously, today, but Warren studied every business that operates like one, where the visible product is just the bait and the real money hides in plain sight all around the bait. Subscribe right now, please, because the next video shows the exact business that runs this playbook at truly massive scale. This is not entertainment, this is financial warfare, and the airport economics you understand today will never deceive you tomorrow or ever again.